Good evening, and welcome to the latest edition of Randall Reads. Tonight I'd like to talk about a cult British novel called Only Lovers Left Alive by Dave Wallis. This book was written back in 1964, and like A Clockwork Orange, which I reviewed a few weeks ago, it was inspired by the group organised violence that was sweeping the country in the mid-1960s, most notably the riots on Brighton Beach between the mods and the rockers. The book is set in a post-apocalyptic London of the same mid-1960s period. There is quite a strange premise at the base of the book, whereby all the adults have started to commit suicide en masse. Why is never really explained in the book, but it appears that they've just become completely dissatisfied and unfulfilled with life, and they can no longer go on anymore. Inevitably, this leaves society to the children and the teenagers in particular. Predictably, they go on a massive riot. The whole sort of fabric of society starts to crumble. There's mass shortages. There's very little food around. There's no fuel for any vehicles, and in particular, a vicious motorcycle gang really run rampage. They're sort of killing, raping, pillaging, having massive drunken orgies in disused buildings. The main characters of the book are a group of teenagers called the Selzy Street Gang, and they very quickly realise that London is a very dangerous place to be, and they slowly but surely make their way out of the city and end up in the north of the country, the north of the British Isles, in Scotland, in fact, and they start to live a very primitive, stripped-down existence, having to hunt for their own food, camping out, sleeping under the stars. And it's here that there's a sort of sliver of hope in what is a very bleak and violent novel, that they can practically regenerate and restart society all over again. So in that respect, it does have sort of echoes of The Lord of the Flies, but with a much happier and more positive ending. So that's my recommendation for this week. It's called The Only Lovers Left Alive by Dave Wallis. Thank you for listening. Good evening.